Good morning, folks, and welcome to another edition of City Hall Live. I am Joe Abeyta, and we have a special guest, the Public Information Officer for the City of Santa Fe, Matt Ross. How you doing, Matt?
Good morning. I'm good. It's good to be here.
Yeah,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming on, brother. Last night was a big night for us. It was the mayor's final State of the City address.
Yeah, the last one. 4 years, 4 speeches, and these big events that come with them, and the whole team, really, the production team and the camera workers and the mayor's executive assistant made it a really successful, really positive event. I think it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, got some good press about it. There was some good coverage about it, and I think there was a couple of moments where the mayor got a little sad.
During
the speech, yeah.
Well, he's always like that when he's talking about his family, which
Yeah.
I think is really empowering, and
Yeah.
I think it shows kind of a more human side.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, we're going to miss him. It was a great speech, and people can watch it if they want to on YouTube. It's there. So if you missed it and you want to check it out, go to YouTube, and we'll be running it on the channel as well.
Yeah, and they definitely should. We're doing, we did a good job last night of really highlighting some of the things over the last 4 years. The strides forward that we made in environmental sustainability, the increases in solar use, above 25% of our portfolio now. The commitment to be carbon neutral by 2040 is such a huge thing for the city, to switch to electric vehicles.
Yeah.
Some of the financial reforms that we've made, correcting that $15 million budget deficit that we inherited. So it was a lot of fun and a good chance to highlight some of the big things that we've done in the last 4 years.
Yeah, and the CEO of Meow Wolf, co-founder of Meow Wolf, Vince Kadlubek, was there.
Yeah.
And he introduced the mayor. I thought that was pretty cool because really, I mean, as far as art, it's one of the biggest things that happened during his term was Meow Wolf opening.
And the mayor was an early believer in that project and really bought into supporting this young group of local, homegrown Santa Fe artists who had this big, crazy idea that weren't finding a lot of support, weren't finding a lot of traction, and then it just took off. And they've really, give all the credit in the world to Vince and that team over there. They've done a really incredible job and created something really special.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because people say, oh, well, he had money from George R.R. Martin. And maybe some people may consider George not a local, but you talk to George, and George considers himself a local.
Yeah.
He wants to be a local. He was pretty much a guy that would just go and live in certain places up to 1979, just for a few months. He moves here to Santa Fe in 1979. I consider that pretty local.
Yeah.
And he enjoys Santa Fe. He loves Santa Fe. He loves all the local stuff. He still lives in a regular neighborhood.
Yep.
And goes to the pantry, goes out to the bookstores, and he reads, and he's in the community. You probably don't notice him because, you know, he just fits right in.
Looks just like a normal guy, fits right in.
Yeah, and so when you say it was a group of local guys that got together and kind of came into this, it was a bunch of local guys, right?
That's true. Plus, geez, 1979, that's longer than I've been alive that he's been in Santa Fe.
There you go.
So I don't know if that doesn't count as local. Plus the businesses, not just Meow Wolf, but the Jean Cocteau Theater, which shows these great movies every week.
Absolutely.
Right in the heart of the rail yard. He's done a lot for the community.
Yeah, so no, that was great. I thought that was great. And then the superintendent, Veronica Garcia, also Dr. Veronica Garcia came up, and she did a nice welcoming for the folks too.
Yeah, and I think she really highlighted the collaboration between the city and the schools. Oftentimes folks don't know how those two systems overlap, how they work together or don't work together in some cases. And the mayor and the superintendent have a great partnership, which I think has benefited the whole community.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They got their mill levy approved by the voters.
Yes,
So they got that. So we see some improvements,
investments,
into the schools, the infrastructure and stuff. So that's good. Well, that's great. We got another thing we got to talk about.
Yes, we do.
And it's been huge. It's called ranked choice voting. And so yesterday's election for the mill levy, there was a couple other things on there. Was a yes/no type of thing. Now it's when you go and vote for somebody for mayor and for city council in less than a month now, you're going to see something different. It's called ranked choice voting. So what the heck is ranked choice voting?
Well, good question. It's one that a lot of people have in Santa Fe right now. Because 10 years ago, it was kind of a long time, but 10 years ago in 2008, there was a ballot initiative that asks voters, yes or no, do you want to switch to ranked choice voting?
Okay.
And it passed back in 2008.
Okay.
Since then, the city's just been waiting for the technology to be available.
Okay.
A court ruled this year that that technology is there and that we have to use it. So we're moving forward.
Was the technology there back in 2008, you think?
No, I don't think it was, at least not at a price that the city could afford.
Okay.
When you're talking about spending upwards of hundreds of thousands of dollars on a municipal election, that's not necessarily what you
Okay.
would consider affordable.
Okay.
This time around, we're getting it for a much more reasonable price.
It just seems like, yeah, because I was asking, because it was like us like banning hoverboards from Back to the Future before they even exist.
Yeah.
We're going to ban them and have a law against hoverboards.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do, yeah,
So if
yeah.
but okay, so this happened in 2008. I mean, there's been a lot of confusion on what ranked choice voting is today.
Sure.
So do you think people knew what they were voting for back then? I mean, it just doesn't make it. It
I
seems a little
do,
bit
yeah.
weird.
I mean, I wasn't here in 2008, so I
No,
can't.
yeah, I
I
know.
can't speak to what the campaign in favor was like,
Yeah.
or what but I don't remember what I had for lunch yesterday.
No, I
so
got you, yeah.
Remembering a vote from 2008 is just
Yeah.
too much to ask folks
Yeah,
with their
yeah.
busy lives. So I think advocates have always said that ranked choice voting is a more fair system that
Okay.
leads to somebody who represents a broader spectrum of the electorate. The
Okay.
current system in Santa Fe that we've been using allows for, in a race where there are 6 or 7 or 5 candidates, as we have in our mayor's race now, running, you could end up with somebody winning with a pretty small percentage of the vote, where the majority of people voted for somebody else. The idea behind ranked choice voting is that that doesn't necessarily happen. You get somebody who represents a broader consensus, and you save the time and the trouble of having to come back into a runoff later because it's essentially an instant runoff.
Gotcha. So in a sense, it saves money and it saves time.
Exactly.
Right, it gives us a winner faster, say if it was, they have to get a certain amount of votes, if they don't, a percentage of votes, if they do get that in the first time around, I think it's 52, right?
50%,
50%.
plus 1 vote.
Okay,
So that's what we're defining a majority as.
Okay.
As 50% of the vote plus 1.
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I don't know, this is off the cuff here, man, so can we use last mayoral?
Sure.
So how did that work out? We'd have to have gone to ranked choice voting with that?
Yes. So
Okay.
in the last election, I don't remember all of the totals from the 3 candidates that were running, but there were 3 major candidates. Mayor Gonzalez, who went on to win the race, won with 46% of
Okay.
the vote. So since he didn't have 50 plus 1,
There would have been a runoff.
There would have been an instant runoff where they would have looked at, and this is the way ranked choice voting works. So you go in and you rank all of your choices, 1 through 5 in the mayoral race, 1 through 3 in the city council races, if you've got a city council race where there are some candidates running. You don't have to rank all of those, but those are your options. You can rank all 5 if you want to. And then if your candidate is eliminated from the race, they look at your number 2 choice. So they would have looked at whoever came in third. I believe it was Patty Boucher in that race, came
Yeah.
in third
Okay.
behind Bill Demas, would have been eliminated, and all of Patty, anybody who voted for Patty, they would have looked at her second choices and given out those votes.
And if it was Bill would have gotten those
Yeah,
votes-
if all
those
of Patty, it was close enough that if all of Patty's voters had chosen Bill as their second choice, Bill Demas, who was
Gotcha.
the other candidate, then it would have thrown the race to Bill.
Gotcha. So there's been a lot of question, and I know we're not advocating this because we want people to do the ranked choice because there's been a lot of work that's put into this by people from the city. So, but I've had people call me up and ask me, even some relatives, do I have to vote? Do I have to do the ranked choice voting? Can I just vote for one person because
Yeah.
that's all I want to do
Yeah.
is vote for one person?
We get that question a lot, either from folks who are confused by the new system or who aren't certain that they like it, or who just want to protest it and say, I'm not changing the way that I vote. I'm
Yeah.
doing it the way I've always done it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of reasons why folks might end up voting for just one person, and the answer is yes, you can, if that's what you choose to do. But you run the risk, if you do that, of disenfranchising yourself and disqualifying your own vote if your candidate that you vote for is eliminated. Let's say in a race between 5 cartoon character candidates,
Yes.
which we've run a mock election around as part of the education campaign. You vote for Betty Bear and you only vote for Betty Bear. As long as Betty Bear is in the race, you'll be fine. But if Betty Bear comes in last on a round and is eliminated, then your ballot, because you haven't marked anybody as your second choice, we can't give that ballot to anybody else, so we have to throw that out.
It just poof goes
Yeah.
away.
So you run a risk if you are If you are only going to pick one person, you are able to pick 1, 2, 3, 4 if you want to. You do not have to fill out all 5, but we encourage folks to fill out as many as you can support, because we want to make sure that if your top choice candidate gets eliminated, you still have a say in who the next mayor is.
So if you only like 2 or 3 of the candidates, you only can vote. You can vote for only 1, 2, or you can vote for 3 or 2, whatever.
Yeah,
you
and
vote.
I would say you can do that, and you should do that. If there's somebody that you don't like who's running, you shouldn't put them on your ballot in any way.
Gotcha.
Even if you put them in the number 5 spot or the number 4 spot, there's a chance that your vote could go to that person if all of the candidates above them are eliminated.
Gotcha.
And so if there's somebody you really don't like, we're telling folks, leave them off your ballot entirely. That's the only way to make sure you don't vote for them.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. So, okay, so this happens March 6th. No. Yes.
Sooner than that.
Oh, you can start voting, yeah. Okay,
Voting
so
is
tell me
already,
about that.
so voting started January 30th.
Okay.
For absentee voters.
Okay.
And for in-person absentee voters. So if you wanted to, you could come down to City Hall today and cast an absentee ballot in the office there.
Okay.
So you wouldn't have to take it home and mail it back in like you would a normal absentee ballot.
Okay.
Early voting starts February 14th.
Okay.
So just over a week away from early voting, and there are 2 locations for early voting: City Hall in the clerk's office and the Genoveva Chavez Center.
Okay.
And that's 8 to 5 on Monday through Friday, kind of regular business hours.
Awesome, and I know that the Yolanda, the city clerk, has a nice little voting area, room for people to
Yeah.
vote in. Makes it a little more streamlined as far as going in there and voting, and you can be in and out and be done with everything. So it's city council and mayor. Is there anything else on the ballot?
Not this year. This
Okay.
year, it's just the city council
Straight up
races
that.
and the mayor's race.
Okay.
Sure. Next time around, there'll be the municipal judge race
Okay.
instead of the mayor's race, along with the city councilors that are up in 2 years. But that will also be ranked choice voting.
The
Assuming,
municipal judge will.
Yeah, assuming that the system doesn't change between now and then via ballot initiative.
So this is going to be something that we're going to be with now.
This is the way we're doing
This
it
is the way it
moving
is from now
forward.
on.
Yeah, to change it now would require a city charter amendment.
Okay.
Which would have to go through the city council process and then go out to the voters and be voted on again by the voters.
Okay, so with that, on election night, we're used to getting results right away, right? Is the process streamlined where we'll know if there's going to be a winner or if we have to have some kind of a runoff vote, right?
Yeah, so the runoff, if we have to go to a runoff, will happen instantly.
Oh, okay.
So we'll know on election night, we'll know who wins.
Uh-huh.
We'll know what happened in each round.
Okay.
Who was eliminated, where their votes moved to, how many ballots became what we call exhausted, which means that they can no longer be counted, either because of an error that the voter made, like duplicating their vote, or because of they left their ballot blank, and so there's just no more choices. So we'll know that night what happens in each round and who the winner is.
So will we be able to explain that to folks too, you think?
We hope so. We're going
Okay.
to try.
All right.
What we're going to do first is we're going to announce who wins. We're going
Okay.
to come out and we're going to say, we've run the election, we've processed all of the ballots, we've done the counting, and here's your next mayor, and these are your city councilors. And
Okay.
then we'll break down, after we've told folks who the winner are, we'll break down what happened in each round, and we'll share that data with everyone so that we're being as transparent as possible, and folks can check our work and make sure we got it right.
Gotcha. All right, well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So we should know then by 9 o'clock, 9:30, around that night.
I'm going to cross my fingers that we have it that early. I don't know for sure, but theoretically, yes. So anybody who's standing in line at 7 o'clock at one of the voting centers when the polls close will still get to vote. So if there are long lines, it might take a little while to cycle all those folks through.
Gotcha.
We are going to have way more poll workers than we normally have to make
Okay.
sure we have help for people who don't understand the system or who
Gotcha.
have a few more questions about the system. So we'll have almost double the number of poll workers. Hopefully that helps speed things along. But once they close the voting centers, they bring their data back over to City Hall. We plug it into the central server that we're using to calculate the results, and then we run the program. It's as simple as that.
That's great. So, okay, if you want to find out more information, I know
Yes.
that we're running on the channel. We're running the spot that Matt was talking about as far as the cartoon characters in a scenario vote in the forest. But is there any other place they can go?
Yeah, there's a ton of resources out there for
Okay.
folks. So, look for our ads in the Santa Fe New Mexican, the Santa Fe Reporter, the Albuquerque Journal North. We're advertising in the Greenfire Times. We're all over the place on social media. So
Okay.
the City of Santa Fe, at Santa Fe Gov on Facebook and on Twitter. We're advertising on the New Mexicans website. We're advertising on buses, so there's bus wraps driving around town. But the main place where we want folks to go to really get their information is our website.
Okay.
VoteDifferentSantaFe.com.
Okay.
There are both of our videos. We produced 2 really strong videos that are really helpful in explaining how to fill out the ballot, how the counting works, and then showing folks how the counting works in the mock election. So really helpful videos there. It's easy to switch back and forth on the website between English and Spanish.
Okay.
There's a lot of frequently asked questions that are up there that we give you answers to. And then the key thing, the most important thing, is that there's also a practice ballot on the
Okay.
website where folks can fill it out electronically, get instant feedback on whether or not they've made an error in the
Okay.
way that they filled it out, if the ballot would be counted just fine. That really simulates the process on election day and is the best way for people to be used to this new system.
Okay, so will there be folks there on election day to help them out a little bit with that? if they
Definitely.
need to? Okay.
Yeah, definitely. That's why we've increased the number of poll workers that we're putting in each location. So normally, for example, during early voting at the Chavez Center, we'd have 3 or 4 poll workers there to kind of help folks through, get those ballots printed out once you sign in. This year we'll have 8, maybe 9
Okay.
people there working throughout early voting, and it'll be the same on election day. We're using around 120 total poll workers, which is far, far more than we normally use.
Okay, well, that's great.
Yeah, and they're all there to answer questions. So we want to encourage folks to not be shy. If you have things that you're not certain about, ask a poll worker and they'll be ready to help.
Okay. Any chance we're going to see Betty Bear there handing out candy and stuff like that, or I vote
There's a
stickers?
chance. There's a chance. No guarantees, of course. We
No,
just gotta.
No, I gotcha. Well, that's great. I know you've been working hard at this with the group of folks and getting that information out, man. So, it should be good.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a good campaign and a lot of really interesting conversations with people as we try to change the system.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And change isn't easy
No.
sometimes. So
No, it's not.
It's good. Matt, thank you so much
Yeah,
for coming
thanks
on
a
today,
lot.
brother.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks again. Folks, and thank you for joining us today. This has been City Hall Live. I want to thank our producer and director, Adrian Avitia and Christina McCandless, also for all the meticulous setups that they do for us here. Appreciate that. And folks, have a safe week. Have a great week. Adios.